and welcome to Believe in the Good. I'm your host, Haley Dillon, and I'm so excited for you to be here. I have had the constant thought to start this podcast. It's been about a year now that this has just been a recurring thought for me, and I think it's because I just believe that these women in racing deserve to be heard. They deserve to be loved on and glorified. So each week, I will interview another fellow NASCAR wife, and you'll all get to hear their stories. I've done a handful of them already, and let me tell you, these women are dynamic. They're funny, they're smart, they're talented, and they have a lot of juicy behind-the-scenes stories to tell. So just a little heads up, this podcast is not a race day recap, but you will get to hear about things I'm passionate about and that these women are passionate about, like marriage and friendship and childbirth, a lot of childbirth talk, our faith, and how to just believe in the good when things get really messy sometimes. Just lots of really fun behind the scenes stories. Whether you're a part of the NASCAR community or just a racing fan or someone who loves a good conversation, this podcast is for you. Before we dive into future episodes, I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself and share a little bit about my journey and what got me here. So I grew up in Snohomish, Washington. I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I always wanted to be an actress. I never imagined that I would one day continue to follow the NASCAR circuit. My family did grow up racing, but it was a hobby. We did go to a couple of NASCAR races when I was just a little kid, and I couldn't believe how loud it was. And I just never in a million years thought that life was for me. I grew up racing quarter midgets when I was a little kid. I raced a little bit. Then my brothers moved on to racing legend cars. And that was how Ty and I first met when we were 15. We raced the summer shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And a lot of your favorite drivers were there that summer when Ty and I were just 15 years old. And that was how we first made our connection. And he sort of hunted me down and was always just this guy that constantly would message me and was just sweet. And I really said, dude, this is not going anywhere. I don't think this is going anywhere, when we were about 19. And he kind of called my bluff. He was like, no, I really think that there's something here, and I want to see you. And I was like, well, I am not flying to a race. If you want to see me, you can come out to Seattle. And like I said, he called my bluff. He flew out to Washington, and our relationship, the rest was history from there. I knew from that moment we first talked, and I'll share a little bit more about our love story, but I knew from that first moment that we talked that my whole life was about to change. Ty and I have been together for 13 years now. We've been married for 10 years. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. We have 3 kids, Oakley, Captain, and Bear, and we talk about having more. And we have, from the moment we started dating, been fully immersed in the racing world. Ty grew up in a NASCAR family, so this was very normal for him, but for me, this was a lot different than the hobby, fun racing that I grew up with. So traveling on the NASCAR circuit is wild. It is exhausting. It's fun. It's rewarding. It is upsetting, to say the least, at times. But racing has been something very fun for us when we allow it to be fun. We've definitely let it be hard at times, but we're in a season now. We have been in and out of this sport. In the last 13 years, we have had quite the roller coaster of being a part of this sport. And right now, in this season of life with our kids in our motorhome, Ty getting a great opportunity to race this year, we're loving it. And we're just so grateful for what's going on right now. I think that's something that I've learned over these years of being his support and being there at a lot of the races, is that sometimes it can feel really lonely. Sometimes it can be really hard to go and support this person when, you need support, because it's difficult. And while he is an incredible husband, and we all have these amazing men that are wonderful husbands and wonderful fathers to our children, all of these other wives in racing too, it's important to have that community. And so many of these women are doing jobs that feel thankless, and they're just really, really holding things up for their families. And they all have such interesting lives and hobbies and passions, and they all are just funny and fun. And there's reasons that these amazing men are with these women, because they are awesome and hot and fun. And I just am really excited for you to get to hear some of these stories, because I think a lot of people don't know about them. When I started thinking about this podcast, I realized how little people really knew about the families behind the scenes and what the lives of the racing families were like. So sure, some fans, see the race day action, the victories and the interviews, but there's so much more to the lifestyle than just what happens on the track. And that's why I wanted to create a space where we can have real, honest conversations about just exactly what it means to be a NASCAR wife. So here's a little bit of what you can expect from the show each week. Each week, I will be doing candid interviews with wives and girlfriends, and you will get to hear behind the scenes stories that you won't hear anywhere else. And it's all about how they balance their family life, their careers, and constant travel. We talk about our friendships and the challenges and the moments about this lifestyle that make it very unique. And of course, I want this to be a conversation and not just a show. So please, if you have questions, if you have guest requests especially, or topics that you would like to hear about, please be sure to reach out to me on social media or send me an email. This is just the beginning, and I can't wait to share this journey with all of you. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our very first guest. I promise it's going to be a great one. So follow along as we all learn about these beautiful women and their stories. We laugh, we cry, we revel in the good, we support each other in the bad. And I hope if you take anything away from this podcast, it's that we can always have hope and we can always believe in the good. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to leave a review, share it with your friends. It helps so much in getting the word out, and I truly appreciate your support. And that's a wrap on today's episode. I'm so grateful you spent this time with us. It means the world that you're here. And if you loved this conversation, make sure you check out the show notes for all the links and any resources we mentioned. I would love it if you followed me over on Instagram and YouTube. This is where I like to share things about my life, little tidbits about our family. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, the best way to say thank you is by sharing with a friend, leaving a review, and rating the show. It helps this conversation reach more people who believe in the good. See you next week.